Friday. Like it is perfect time to go started. First and foremost, a big thank you to those of you already in here. I always love for these active sessions, so I'd love to know where you're listening in from today. If you have any questions or anything we started today, give every first and foremost, just my name and main goal of today, inform you of the best practices. This session is for those of you that are maybe felt intimidated by event marketing, don't really have guidance started. This session on low cost to free marketing tools can give you a good general. Audio is cutting in and out. Let me see if I get a little bit closer to the mic if that helps make a better difference. We got Lauren and we've got Hill ASMR for Alabama, Western Massachusetts, and Alabama. Alabama, that's awesome, guys, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Let me know if that keeps cutting in and out. I can always try something different here. But thank you so much for your comments, y'all. I really, really appreciate it. To give you a brief overview of what we're going to be covering today, first and foremost, we're going to start with awesome. I think I just got to hug the mic a little bit closer. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about the marketing mindset, a lot of things that we really should be considering when we go to actually approaching marketing events. Then we'll kind of talk about the life cycle. So how can we put ourselves in our customers' shoes to understand and empathize with how they generally buy so we can see the best effectiveness for ourselves. We'll give you a breakdown of, what channels might actually be the best for you and your upcoming needs. And then we'll show you how Eventbrite can help you accomplish some of these tasks that, sometimes if you do them on other platforms, they might take you a decent amount of time. And then lastly, we'll just give you a little brief kind of insight into if you're looking to get and take a jump into paid marketing, maybe where the easiest spot to get set up is. I as well host a Event Marketing 102 session. It's going to be happening a little bit more starting next year, but we'll go really in depth into paid marketing. So in all honesty, if you already know everything under the sun about free marketing and really paid marketing, this might not be the session for you. So I'd recommend come to the 102. And y'all, as we go along, please feel free to ask questions. We got a small group here today, so as many questions as you have, as much time that I have available, I'd love to help you. So first and foremost, I'd like to start this off with a quote from Seneca. It's not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. To give you a little context of where I started with event marketing, I started around 4 or 5 years ago in a concert venue in Berkeley, California called the UC Theater. I was their in-house multimedia photography guy. I really knew nothing for the most part about marketing. And I got shifted into the marketing role and was basically running ads for all there. And I really empathize with a lot of you. Event marketing is really kind of overwhelming or challenging for you. I've been there before. I remember how confusing it was for me today, and I hopefully want to make it a lot simpler for you, break it down, and really help give you some good, proper guidance here so you don't make some of the same mistakes that I made. And for the large part, we found that there's just too many tools that could use. And a lot of these tools really aren't built for us in the event industry. They're built for somebody over at a massive corporation, multi-million-dollar marketing budget, team of 50 interns. Like, that's not the scenario we find ourselves in. And I'm assuming a lot of you might have spent some time trying to learn these tools, and it's just like, it feels like you're reading hieroglyphics. Like you have no idea what you're looking at. You have no idea how it works, and that really can lead to a lot of frustration. So as you approach just everything in general in your business, I really want you to consider these aspects as, I think, honestly, in life, a lot of it boils down to your mindset of how you approach this. So really, first and foremost, it's going to be action that comes. You, a lot of times, aren't going to feel motivated to do an activity, do something, but we need to take action. Results will stem, and then that motivation is follow. And every time we do something from our event, every single mistake that we make, that's a learning opportunity for us to improve our business, for us to improve our customer experience, to improve our advertising experience. And mainly, at least here in the States, a lot of the educational system, punishes us for making mistakes. But really, if we're not making mistakes, we're actually not learning, evolving business. And we really want to have a long-term. Now, sometimes you're going to run an ad campaign and you're not going to see the fruits of your labor. But that ad campaign attracts one person to your. That person tells 10 of their friends and has a cascading effect for you. So a lot of times we really don't see the fruits of that labor till we give that tree a little bit of time to sit in the roots and marinate. And ultimately, we really need to let the market decide your value and listen to your customers. If I'm spending all of this money on ads and ultimately I'm really not seeing, I'm using good targeting, et cetera, I'm using good strategies and I'm not seeing results, we sometimes need to look inward and see what could we be better doing on our end. And really putting yourselves in your customer shoes is one of the best ways. And really, at the end of the day, you need to value yourself so others around you will value your business. Any of those automatic negative thoughts you tell you ants. The book from Jim Quick called Limitless. He basically talks about how our brain constantly filling this chatter. We just got to shut it up and get along with our day. And I think a really good motivator at the end of the day is remember why you are doing this. Like, remember and try to really tap into, if you actually succeed with creating your events and throwing your events, how is this going to have an impact in your life? Is this going to better enable you to be there for the people around you? Is this going to better enable you to be involved in communities? A lot of this is really approaching the mindset of what we do. And if we come forth with a positive mindset that, we're going to make mistakes, but we're going to learn along the way, this really is where we're going to see results. And as we go through this material, I just like you to keep in the back of your head. So, we want to break down, like, what are we learning? Where is this actually going to be applicable in our marketing strategies? When should we use this various features? And then why might this even be important for us? Is there something better we could be doing? Is this time? So just really try to consider the what, where, when, and why when we. So let's first start off with giving you some insight into how consumers normally purchase. So generally, if you pop into the marketing tab inside of Eventbrite, you might have seen this Frankenstein looking graph somewhere along the way. Basically, we call this the sales curve, and it represents how your customers on average purchase for your events. And this curve we're looking at is kind of like the catch-all average of how the vast majority of people purchase for our events. And we kind of break it down into 3 phases. So that early bird phase is right when these tickets or your event generally goes on sale. There might be a little bit of hype or momentum initially that helps drive tickets. So kind of on the x-axis, this is like, start of the event, and then we get towards the end of the event. The y-axis is just how many tickets are we selling every day. So a lot of times it might kind of look like camel humps, where we see a really big spike of tickets initially, then kind of the incentive for people to buy dies down a little bit, and then we end up getting close to the event, and then tickets. So it's really important to understand how your customers are purchasing, as one of the biggest pitfalls we make when it comes to marketing or paid strategy is we employ these strategies when people don't really have an interest in buying for our events, or we have the wrong expectations of what an advertising mechanism is going to provide at that point. So if I could kind of give you a simple thing to remember for these various stages, kind of a catch-all for everything. Generally, when your event first goes on sale, you really want to focus on just getting the word out and spreading awareness and capitalizing on any urgency that you might have that would assist you in selling tickets initially. Then generally, once your ticket sales die down, if you are somebody that is in that scenario, I know not everybody is like that, and we'll go over a couple of examples shortly, you want to keep that awareness going and focus on lower cost promotional methods so you're not really breaking the bank. And then in that final stage leading up to your event, where normally the majority of us sell a really good chunk of our tickets, that's when we want to make sure we're getting in front of these people that we attracted initially, and scaling any of our advertising or marketing efforts, because we know people are probably likely to buy. Generally, from what we've seen in the data of how people buy for events, we kind of have 3 different types of curves of how people buy. So this one right here is something for more like musicals, concerts, have like a big tour announced. Generally, these events have a pretty big on sale, so they sell a nice little spike of tickets right when it goes on sale. Things die down, maybe there's a little hype midway through, and then as the event approaches, we sell the vast majority. So generally, this is a pretty common one for like the music, but we know every person's event is different. You'll ultimately have to kind of understand this for yourself at your own. Another really common type is the last minute buyer. So we see this really frequently in like electronic events that service like younger crowds, or comedy related events, or things like outdoor beer festivals, etc. These are generally events where people delay that purchasing decision towards the very last minute possible. So for things like this, we still want to make sure we have marketing going on in the earlier phases, but that we want to make sure if you run ads or something, we reserve the majority of the budget for that last period when we know people. And really, the last kind of type of event that we've seen, these are more for recurring events. So maybe like a Peppa Pig live that happens like for 2 months straight, or a weekly yoga class that always occurs. Generally, these events people buy pretty evenly, so you can kind of just have your ad efforts kind of just running continuously, or your marketing efforts are kind of always on for the most part. And it's really important for us to think about marketing efforts. So first and foremost, if we kind of think of this big gray circle as like everybody that's seeing your content, people are going to discover your content mainly through organic media or paid ads. If you're, and then once somebody comes across that content, that person's going to engage with that content. It could be liking your page, following your account, or even doing something like going to your ticketing pages to actually. And really, the main goal of what we all need at the end of the day is we need to sell tickets. We convert customers to actually pack our events. And we could also think about this in terms of like interested, engaged buyers. So, like, our main focus for those that don't know about our brand is simply raising awareness so that we're kind of filtering down the people that would be interested. Then we'll have a smaller group of people that are engaged that are actually expressing a little bit of purchase intent. And normally, this is a really effective audience for us to market to, is they're kind of already telling us, Sam, I'm interested in buying for your event. Just market to me a couple times. When the time's right, I might go ahead and buy. And generally, from kind of an average metric perspective, at least for things like paid ads, on average, normally, anytime somebody sees any of your content, it's generally a 1 to 2% click rate, unless you're like a total like guru, got your audience down. So on average, normally out of every 100 people that end up seeing a piece of content, maybe on Facebook or Instagram, probably around 2% of those 1 to 2% will click on that piece of, maybe go to your ticketing page, and then once they're there, maybe 1 to 2% actually make that purchase. So generally, on average, kind of need to get in front of maybe around 2,000 brand new eyeballs, not past existing customers. Sometimes to just sell one ticket. That's just kind of the average for it. So let's go over a couple of marketing channels to help you understand what social media networks are actually going to be most beneficial for you and the things that you. So kind of the S tier social media that I would talk about for event marketing is mainly going to be Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook is still the biggest platform. However, daily usage on that platform for younger demographics is kind of teetering off a little bit. If I could really only pick one of these right now, I would say Instagram. But the nice part is that Facebook and Instagram are linked in this case. So if you post something to Instagram, it can also go to Facebook, and then vice versa. The advantages of Facebook is the biggest social media platform, basically second to email in terms of daily users. Then we have Facebook pages that people can interact with, they can follow, they can engage. Have Facebook events that are a really valuable tool as well. And then you have groups that you can in conversation. However, I generally find, especially nowadays, Facebook is better for older demographics or people, older clientele that might have a little more disposable income. Moving on to Instagram, still a really big user base. It's all linked with Facebook. I would say in terms of like paid advertising and even organic stuff, Instagram is one of the best, and Instagram is really good for both older and younger demographics as well. Now, TikTok is definitely by far the best platform for organic growth at the moment. I have had event customers that I have worked with that have grown followers to hundreds of thousands without spending a single dime on advertising on TikTok, just repurposing content of people that go to their events and creating fun things. However, this platform is still in its infancy stages, although it is growing rapidly, but it is best for generally younger demographics who sometimes don't have a lot of disposable income. So please keep an eye on TikTok for your strategy and maybe find ways that you could post the same content to both Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. A lot of that vertical short form content is really taking off nowadays. But if I had to say what platform is going to be your best overall bet if you could only focus on one, guys, it's going to be Instagram. And to just even give you some metrics to kind of back up what we're seeing, this is a graph basically showing the amount of money that was spent on Facebook and Instagram advertising over the last couple of years, and then projections. So basically last year, y'all, people spent around $50 billion on Facebook advertised, Facebook and And this is a surefire sign that this is one of the places where the vast majority of all advertisers, every business, they're really looking towards social media and actually spending, particularly on Facebook and Instagram. A couple other platforms that you could consider that aren't ultimately as important. Twitter's really good for giving quick updates about your event. So let's say you maybe change the date of the event or new. Twitter's just good for really quick communication. And then also if you're working with sponsors that potentially have a bigger following than you. Let's say I only have 50 followers on my Twitter, but I'm working with an organization that has 100,000. They could help retweet my content and then get that out to their following of 100,000 people. So Twitter's good if you're working with a lot of partners or you more want to give updates, and still really big user base at least. Now LinkedIn for the most part, y'all, makes the most sense if you are kind of a like sometimes B2B or a business professional or business development or community oriented event organizer. However, this really isn't a platform that people are actually going to look. People are not on LinkedIn to look for events to do. They're looking for, insight and learning. And Google and YouTube is another good platform as well. This is more for like Google ads or paid ads and stuff, but Google definitely having good SEO and good presence. So when people look for events like yours in a search engine and your business or your brand shows up higher, normally most people go with the first couple options. So having good SEO is a really good component to bring traffic to checking out your events. And the good thing about when you use Eventbrite is we are ranked very, very high in SEO, so that'll help you get higher up towards the top. We additionally have email marketing, and if I were to snap my fingers and every social media platform instantaneously disappeared, everybody would be going back to email like it's nobody's business. But everybody still uses email, and part of the reason is the email is, out of anything, generally the highest conversion rate. As the challenging part about email is you kind of do need to have that existing contact list that you build, but normally once you build the contact list, especially for events, people that normally go to your event once and have a good experience, generally on like 50-60% of people attend secondary events too as well. So email marketing is one of the most effective ones. Is a direct one-on-one communication. We're normally sending them directly to our ticketing page, so it's really easy to buy. It's a really good kind of return on ad spend if we're thinking of that, like how much we spend on email to how much we can get back in terms of driving ticket sales. However, the biggest roadblock to this, guys, is it does take time to build a mail. So at least the most simple thing that you can do is try to collect emails. You can always think of incentives or ways that you could get an customer's email, basically what we refer to as a lead. Include that, but you always will collect email data of anybody that buys for your event. So that process of building your list is going to grow over time as your events grow. But I'd encourage you always think of other mechanisms you can do as well to try to capture people. So y'all, just to kind of give a recap or a TLDR about the channel recommendations, I'd say for Facebook and Instagram, really focus on posting organically about the events that you run just to generate event engagement. Run paid ads, but I know a lot of you might not be in the boat to actually have that at the moment. So at the very least, do things like create a Facebook RSVP so people could RSVP your event, which kind of handles some of that remarketing for you. Email is really kind of the best way to just directly get in front of people. However, email does take time to build. We're normally using email to just say, hey guys, these are the upcoming events that we have. And if we send it during a timing period where they're likely to buy, email normally has really good conversion. LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter, these are more kind of secondary platforms, but they can be good platforms for organic marketing. And ultimately, guys, we really need to keep in mind that what works for one event creator might not work for you. All of us are unique. All of our businesses are different. So ultimately, we need to try out these different platforms. And if we fail on one of these platforms, it might be a sign this platform is not for us. We should focus our attention elsewhere. Don't double down on what's not working for you. Double down on what's. And then Google and YouTube, normally just by using Eventbrite, you're going to have good SEO in the first place. But if you have interesting content to post to your YouTube as well, YouTube is the second largest discovery platform for content, second to people going to. So now let's actually cover what tools do you have in Eventbrite to kind of aid you in the use of some of these free and low-cost marketing tactics that you. So if you've heard this term Eventbrite Boost kind of thrown around, I just want to even clarify this for you and give you context on everything. So if you pop into your Eventbrite account and click into this marketing section, you're going to see this section that Boost. Think of Eventbrite Boost as a suite of marketing tools that we have in this section. We're really just trying to streamline the process for you doing these various marketing features. And you can find it if you click on that megaphone icon left after you event section on Eventbrite. And really just want to centralize these tools, streamline your process, save you time, and help you make more money at the end. That is the end goal. And if these features are ultimately not doing that for you, then you probably shouldn't be using them. But from an empirical and data perspective, what we have seen is comparing creators on Eventbrite that are using these tools in Eventbrite Boost compared to creators that aren't. On average, they sell 63% more tickets. So we're finding more and more in the actual empirical data, looking at creators that use these features compared to creators that don't. They on average are always selling more tickets. Obviously, we're going to have a slight bias here, but really for the most part, let's cover why these tools are actually important and why you should be. So if I had to give the easiest thing that you could do the second you end up publishing your events is contingent on having a Facebook page. You're going to do this, but I would recommend go ahead and create and publish that Facebook. So you might ask, why are Facebook events important in the first place? Why do I spend my time doing this? First and foremost, Facebook events are really good for organic. If your event's getting some traction, Facebook does help promote your event kind of organically to other people that might be interested in it. But the bigger element and why this is important is Facebook events are really helpful for remarketing. So let's try to take back. We can put ourselves in the shoes here. There's probably been events that we wanted to go to. They were a long ways out, maybe 4 or 5 months out. We thought that'd be an awesome event to go to. We don't really make a mental note, and then we forget about it, and the event happens. Normally, the average person needs to see your event around 7 times before they commit to making a purchase, hence why remarketing is so important. This is one of the biggest reasons why people spend money on Facebook ads and they just don't see any results, is they had no remarketing whatsoever. And Facebook events are really important as Facebook kind of handles the remarketing for you, because it'll give notifications to anyone that RSVPs to that event, reminding them about that event upcoming. So then you don't explicitly kind of have to think. And additionally, anyone that engages with this event, we're talking paid ads down the road, you can target all of these people. And what better people to target that would be interested in your event than people that go to check out your event and kind of explicitly say, I'm interested in going to this event. But lastly, why this should be done is, especially, and why would you do this in Eventbrite compared to just building this like directly in Facebook? So we have this tool in this section. If we kind of pop over into the dashboard, if we click onto this share on social section, we have the Facebook event section, and it's really easy for you to publish the event. All you really have to do here is we're just going to use the drop down to choose the Eventbrite event that we would like to get a Facebook event out of. Then once we hit start, simply all we're doing in this step is choosing what's the Facebook page we want to set this to. You can set it as the default, add on a little bit of a description, and then this is going to put this over. And if you do this with anything but an online event, online events for some reason don't support it, but it'll have this embedded checkout so people can buy tickets directly inside of the Facebook event. It's really easy and a lot less friction. So again, Facebook events are really important for both remarketing, organic visibility. The nice thing is they don't take much time at all. It really should take you less than a minute to get this going. So the kind of the reward for the time cost that it actually brings to the table is good. Going to automate that remarketing, and really, especially if you want to jump into paid ads down the road, which you are going to need to do if you want to scale your business. There's no way ever. It's going to empower your future marketing efforts. Next, we have in the same section, share on LinkedIn. In all honesty, for y'all, unless you're kind of a B2B person or business development or really community oriented, this probably is not that useful. Yeah, if you are an active LinkedIn, really cool, as you can publish quick organic posts over LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really good because LinkedIn does have good organic visibility and really high engagement compared to a lot of other places. And if we do kind of think about it on the inverse, there's probably not a lot of people posting about events on LinkedIn, so you might not have a lot of competition. I suggest give it a shot. It's totally free to use. Post about your event. If you don't really get much traction, then you know it's probably not for you, but you would never know unless you actually take that step to test it out. And you can also find this feature in that same section in Boost. If I just click back here real quickly, it's going to be this link section that we have right here. Cool. And then skipping over to the next thing, really kind of one of the most leveraged tools of this platform that we have is email campaign. So really, email is incredibly important to your overall strategy. As kind of out of anything, it generally has the highest conversion rates, but namely because you're getting in front of people that already have some degree of familiarity with your events and everything on. It really is the most direct customer communication besides something like sending a direct message or something like that. And really, the longevity of email is always going to be there. Like, if I can never imagine email marketing just entirely going away, I would see all these other social media platforms disappear before email ever did. Now, why would I send out these emails about my event, or at least do these in Eventbrite compared to doing this maybe elsewhere? So our tool really streamlines the process for you quickly sending out an email campaign to whatever audience or whatever list you want to target. It's normally use email marketing and events for just notifying our customers about the upcoming events. We might occasionally send out a newsletter about updates of our brand, but a lot of people just handle those updates kind of organically via social media. So the main thing of how we use email marketing is to just say, hey guys, this event is coming up on Friday. I'm going to shoot this email out. You can see these upcoming events. And really, the past purchasers have such a high likelihood of buying from what we've seen of that past. So just to even give you some context, for those of you that are just getting started with email, you can, in Eventbrite Boost, send up to 250 emails a day for free. But then the cost of the service does scale with how many emails you want to send out, just because we have to pay for the technical backend to let you guys send the emails that we have here. But one thing that also is going to be a little bit different potentially from other email platforms that you're using is because this is directly integrated with your Eventbrite account, you're going to get better insight into actually how your email campaigns help lead to like ticket sales, with attribution occurring towards those email campaigns, basically giving you the breakdown. And it also is really easy for you to retarget people that didn't necessarily open those emails. So if you really wanted to send that campaign to non-openers, you can simply click a button and it's going to resend that out or retarget your subscribers. Now, for some resources that we have for you guys, if you are ever looking to learn more or really dive, we kind of covered some of the more basic intro stuff here today, but we really realize, there are a lot of extra topics, especially when it comes to paid ads. And, ultimately we want to know and we want to understand why we're going to do it. It's not fun when somebody tells us just to go ahead and do something. We ultimately want to know what's the rationale or the reasoning behind why we do. So let me really quickly just drop a link for this for y'all. I would love for y'all to check out Eventbrite Academy. I spent a long time with me and my team putting together a lot of really awesome courses in this section. It'll teach you everything from organic social media marketing best practices platforms to best practices for email marketing, from the ins and outs of Facebook and Instagram advertising, etc. And these webinars are always going to be here as a resource for you. And I also have that 102 webinar that goes more in depth on the paid side. So just to kind of briefly end today before we go into a little bit of a QA for any of you that have any questions, and thank y'all so much for tuning in today. Again, I really appreciate your time. There's a million things you probably got to be doing, a million other videos you could have watched, so it really is kind of you to be spending your time here today. Appreciate you showing up to learn. So although paid marketing requires time and money, realistically, you're going to sell more tickets than ever before if you're actually marketing. And the reason this is the case is, honestly, there are a lot of problems nowadays with marketing, and ultimately I'd attribute this to greed of platforms. Basically. So the average person normally needs to hear about your event around 7 times before they commit to taking a. This has been empirically researched in everything from e-commerce to events. Generally, it's kind of the rule of 7 that you need to see something around 7 times. That could be billboard, that could be an ad on your phone, that could be email, etc. But the more visibility you have, the more your event is present. But the challenge with organic marketing is that these platforms nowadays, you realistically only reach around like 10% of your overall follower base. So for example, if my Instagram following is 50,000 people, I might only actually reach like 2,500 to 7,500 people anytime I post an organic. The way nowadays that these posts reach more, how this works on these various platforms is when your post goes live, these platforms look at the amount of engagement that you're getting. So, what kind of shares are people sharing this with other people? Are they saving this post? Are they leaving a like? Are they leaving a comment? Likes, comments are kind of the lower tier of engagement. But if your post is getting signs and showing to like platforms like Facebook or Instagram, hey, we're getting interaction here, they're going to perceive that as good content and use that content to push out to other people that are interested in similar content, as the goal and the objective is to keep people watching and keep people viewing stuff. So ultimately, around like maybe 8 years ago on a lot of these platforms, yeah, we could really succeed and sell our events just simply posting organically on the social media networks. But now we're in a current scenario where even the entirety of our follower base is not going to see that post for vast majority, no matter how much engagement you get. So that's why it's really important to be continuously marketing. And sometimes, the people you might reach organically like aren't even necessarily near your event and could even end your event. So I wish we could go back in a time capsule or time machine and go back to 2015 when it was a lot easier with organic marketing, but it is what it is, and we simply have to play the game. So just to give you guys a couple options that you have for paid advertising or what we see in events, I just want to give you everything under the sun so you can make the best decision is actually going to. So we've recently rolled this out. It's not available in. Have created something called Eventbrite ads. So similar to how you could run an ad on Google for people that might be looking up like dancing events near me or Chicago events near me, and then your search listing shows up towards the top. These are ads that you can run directly on Eventbrite to have your event show up higher in that search queue to people that are looking for events like yours in your. And one of the really unique things about our platform compared to other advertising platforms is all of these people that are going on Eventbrite and searching for events, they have direct purchasing for events. Advertising on a platform like Facebook or advertising on a platform like Instagram, you might have people that are interested in content or something like that, but they might have not gone to a live concert or live event in 5-10 years. Maybe they like watching it on YouTube or something like that. So by actually advertising on Eventbrite, you are getting in front of people that are explicitly looking for something to do in the area, which is not something that is present on all of these other advertising platforms, or at the very least, these platforms don't necessarily give you the targeting options. And another pro of the Eventbrite ads too, as well, is it's a really low cost barrier to entry advertising. So I know like some of you, if you want to run like Google ads or Facebook, like, sometimes that budget might be out of your range, how much you want to spend. Like if you just want to spend $5 or $10 on an ad campaign, normally you have to spend kind of a decent amount for it to optimize well and for things to go good. So you can always start off with really low budget for these campaigns. And these campaigns for Eventbrite ads literally should only take you around 2 minutes to set up. It's going to be by far simplest ad that you have ever set up compared to all of these other advertising platforms. And you're directly getting in front of people that are looking for events. And compared to a lot of other platforms, so I'd recommend you're just looking for an advertising platform to test out with lower budgets. You don't want to commit a lot. This might be a really good platform for you to try out just because you can start with smaller budgets compared to other advertising platforms, and it's inside of Eventbrite. Next, we have Facebook and Instagram ads. So realistically, Facebook and Instagram ads are really good just because the targeting options are so good. And what I really mean by that is Facebook and Instagram is so powerful for. So like, let's say, for example, you have a Facebook event and I am interested in your event and I click on that Facebook event and I click going or I RSVP to it. I'm actually now in a remarketing audience that you could target for up to a year. So I've had lots of event creators or I've worked with concert venues, had 100 different Facebook events over the years and thousands and thousands of people that interact with it. And now that's an audience that can target any campaign, any day of the week, explicitly getting in front of people that have purchased events for their events. Really, the cool thing too is you don't really need pre-existing social proof to sell via these platforms too as well, because normally they're not looking at your follower count or they're not looking at this. Like if you're offering something that captures somebody's attention and they're interested in, you don't need to have excessive social proof or be a big business for somebody to actually pay and give you money at. And paid social ads with this really allows you to get in front of these new people that realistically you're never going to reach organically just due to the current state of these platforms. The only downside to this compared to something like Eventbrite ads is generally do need larger budgets to get started. Like if you spend the bare minimum budget on Facebook and Instagram ads, Facebook probably isn't going to optimize it as well as if you were to spend like significantly more on those ad campaigns. And then you might even ask, like, okay, we know about Facebook and Instagram ads. Like, Eventbrite Boost has a section where I can run these Facebook and Instagram ads. What's different than just going to Facebook and clicking that like boost post button and boosting? The challenge of when you do that on Facebook, like boost, advertise that post. That post, I'm not going to go way back in the slides, but we're basically only going out to brand new people. We're not necessarily targeting anybody that's ever heard of our business. And if we know that somebody on average needs to see our event around 7 times before they make a purchase, those campaigns are only probably hitting that person once or twice, and then there's no remarketing. So what's really unique about our platform is we include all these really hard to build audiences for you automatically that a lot of pros or consultancies or agencies build for you when they're running your Facebook ads. We do it on the back end for you like a robot, and you don't even need to think about it. And generally users that are actively spending on Facebook ads that switch over to our version of this creation tool, on average, they see around a 20% lift in ticket sales from their ad campaigns. And I think in large part that is to do with just expanding these audience and targeting options that you haven't necessarily maybe thought or been even known that these existed in the place. But then additionally, our system optimizes the budget every single day. So we make sure you're not wasting money on audiences you don't want. That's just kind of a breakdown. I do go over this a little bit more over in 1 or 2. So if you are interested in learning more about like actual paid advertising best practices, well, feel free to RSVP that link. Yeah, let me see if I can grab that for you guys real quick. But y'all, that basically was everything that I wanted to chat about for today's multi-event ads. We can kind of skip over this as I don't think it's really applicable to many of you. But if you are somebody that advertises over 5 events in any given month, check out this tool. It's going to be the biggest game changer for you. If you don't have events, it's not going to be worth your time whatsoever. And y'all, just to kind of conclude it before we jump into a QA, I do want to be entirely and really straightforward and transparent about the pricing of using these various tools, as I don't want you to be getting yourself into something that you don't know what you're getting into. So if you are just looking to, you don't want to pay anything, you just want to use free marketing tools, you can always use the social posting tools. So Facebook events, post on LinkedIn, and you can send up to 2 free. You can also, I didn't have it on here, I'll change that. You can use the Eventbrite ads tool. That doesn't cost you anything other than like what you want to spend on the ad campaign. So you can always use those. The light plan, basically the only extra things you'll get is just an increase in that email send limit. And then the core plan is if you want to use our version of the Facebook and Instagram kind of optimization tool, if you are somebody that runs a lot of Facebook Instagram ads, the goal with that is that the performance improvement that we bring to the table entirely pays for the costs of the. So generally for those of you that might be spending like more than $500 a month on Facebook ads, normally the cost of the service should be entirely paid for with the improvement how much you make back worth ticket sales. And if that's not really the case, it might not necessarily be the platform for you. Or if you're somebody that literally you only run 1 Facebook ad a month and you don't do a lot, this might not necessarily be for you, but I'd encourage you look into like things like Facebook, like how do I build these remarketing audiences? How do I target my past purchasers with the email data that I have? So definitely I'd recommend, even if you don't do this, you could always try a free trial too, like you still have to pay for the cost of the ad, but like a free trial of our Facebook tool, just to see if it's up to your liking or if it actually brings benefit. And just a couple like last resources too. Well, I dropped that Eventbrite Academy link in there. Let me also drop a link to our help center too, that we have a lot more articles. Now, I know y'all are incredibly busy and you might not have a lot of time to look at articles. If you are somebody nerd like me and just dive in, we got some fantastic resources for you. And always feel free to reach out to our customer support team if you're in that marketing tab, and you can hit the help button, get in touch with us. If there's anything we could better clarify or point you in the right direction, please reach out to us. We want to make sure that you are feeling dive into all of this. And y'all, this is the last slide for today. We are definitely ending a little bit early, so before we end the stream, I just wanted to open the floor. What questions do you guys have, or what can I help answer for you today? Anything like a personal scenario, I could give you a little bit of advice for your events or anything like that. So let's give it a couple quick minutes. Please feel free to use that chat to drop any questions or comments that you have. Well, I have a little tea break right. Light lag, so we'll see if everything's in. If not, we'll give it. But once again, thank you all for tuning in. I know we had a lot of people tuning in at various different days. Oh, unrelated to the topic, but my name is Sam Lauren. Sam from the Eventbrite team. Thank you very much, Lauren. I know you were here at the very beginning and you stayed all the way through the end with your perfect attention span. Much. I really appreciate it. And I hope you got some good kind of knowledge out of here too. If you guys have any feedback from me too on anything that I could better be talking about, like anything that's of interest to you, I'm not the person that's building an event every single. So you guys probably have questions that I might not necessarily think or be conscious of. So if you have any suggestions for me on things that we didn't cover in today's session that would be really helpful from kind of like the marketing perspective, feel free to know, or even yeah, even just like send us a message via the help channel too with some recommendations. Ultimately, like we want to be here for you, support you in the things you are trying to learn. So any better way that we can do that in any capacity, greatly appreciate. Awesome, y'all. Well, if there are no more questions, this looks like a perfect place to pause it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Let me see if I can grab that 102 link really quickly for you guys if you're cool. I got the link. Let me pick. If you guys want to register for the 102 session, there is a link to all of our live streams. We're going to be taking a little pause for the end of the year as I need to take a but we'll be back again and kicking at the start of the next year, and we're looking to expand these sessions. So please, like any suggestions, any feedback you guys have for us of how we could be better enabling you or directing you, let us know. Once again, guys, my name has been Sam Jameson. Right team. I hope you have yourself a blessed rest of your Thursday and enjoy your weekend as well. And if we don't talk, have a great rest of your holiday season.